up every day during the day next week. And certainly the Christmas holidays, New Year's, we'll be back in 2022. BJ, you will be here tomorrow, though. You'll have the very Mary Bennett Christmas special. I don't know what do you call it? Because it's something that BJ has always done. The last show before everybody steps away. Normally it's Christmas Eve, but you're going to do it a day early this year. It has been you, your dad, your brother, and others doing a show together. So that will be tomorrow. I'm just giving everybody a little something to look forward to.
I think people are looking forward to stuff. I don't know that that's necessarily. I'm just saying.
How you know people don't look forward to it, BJ? I mean, why?
They might.
That just sounds like BJ. I mean, I don't know if people are looking forward to it.
They like hearing from my dad.
Here's the thought. One of us on this show has been told they were, somebody walked up to you and said you were something to them. I'm not going to say what they said you were to them. One of us have experienced, fandom in a different level.
Thanks for that, Ben. Kevin? Good to see you guys.
I'm just saying. I was trying to preview what's coming tomorrow. There will be a 3 and Out. This will be
a very Mary Bennett Christmas.
How interesting! And there's my dad,
co-host,
randomly walking through the studio.
Otherwise known as the co-host tomorrow of the show.
Huh?
I mean,
you consider him? No. Do you consider him the co-host?
Yeah.
Or do you just consider him a guest?
No.
On the Mary Bennett Christmas.
No,
special?
He's a co-host tomorrow. But why does he have a shopping cart walking through the studio?
He wraps a present.
Oh, okay.
Well, he didn't. But for folks who don't know, your mom and family wrap Christmas presents, and they do it to raise money for military families. And so, I
guess that's a loading device.
Yeah. So as part of the annual Kevin Thomas tradition, I say I will do something nice and I will donate to the cause, but I'll also get my presents wrapped. And it's not that I can't do it. It's just
what it is.
It's just other people wrapping my presents are way better than when I do it.
Me and Kevin, we save lives on Halloween. Those you don't know.
Yes.
And when it comes to gift wrapping, well, that's not what I do. Like it's too meticulous. You got to know scissors. Listen, you start using scissors and tape and measurements. Sounds more like carpentry to me. Not doing it.
So I guess he's transporting.
I took them and dropped them off earlier so that they could be wrapped, and your dad was transporting. I was fully expecting to go get him, but apparently I got the full-on customer service.
I guarantee you probably
that was just. I mean, really impressive show producing by Kevin. Though he brings up my dad. My dad walks through the studio.
No, he was here when the show first came on. You was obviously
so he's been here.
Yeah, he was literally standing right there, pointing to the gifts. But what makes you more nervous, BJ? The fact that you have a show tomorrow with your dad, or the fact that you have a show tomorrow with your dad and you don't know what he's going to say?
Well, there's a couple of thoughts there. My dad is always, on the edge,
yes.
and I've talked about possibly bringing the kids on, and I have no idea what might happen there. So, little uncertain.
So would that be the first ever the Bennett offspring on there?
Little apprehensively. Come on before, but normally the totality of their interview has gone like this. Yes.
Who makes you more nervous, your son or your father?
Probably my dad, to be honest. So that to look forward to.
He understands the rules of the FCC. It's okay.
Okay.
He toes the line.
That's all I'm saying. But we've got a lot of sports stuff to get to here before the end of the year gets to us. Of course, a lot going on with COVID protocols. The Gator Bowl apparently down to one team as Texas A&M has withdrawn from the Gator Bowl due to a COVID-19 outbreak on their team, and it leaves just Wake Forest without an opponent. And officials are trying to find a replacement team to play in possibly a second bowl game. And BJ brought up a salient point here. Why somebody playing a second bowl game? Well, because after December 5th, everybody else who wasn't in a bowl game quit participating and practicing and everything else. They haven't done anything. Bowl teams have been in at least a month-long preparation and so on. So question is, if you are a team that is now 6-7, do you play another bowl game to try to say we were a bowl team not once but twice, and we are 6-8?
Yeah,
the quest to get back to 500.
You hate that news, obviously. COVID storylines all over the place, and you wish the best for those guys in Texas A&M. But you're talking about a situation where not only is Texas A&M not going to be able to play in the postseason, but now you have Wake Forest, who was set to play the Aggies in Jacksonville without a bowl opponent. And I know there's all kind of speculation about what could be, ideas being thrown out on social media. But my guess would be, and some other people have said this, that in terms of adding a team that is 5-7 and maybe didn't qualify for the postseason, right, Ben, their players are home, right? Don't you go home during the holiday break and you haven't been practicing for a couple of weeks. So some have reported that maybe there might be an opportunity to get a team that's already played a bowl game to play a second bowl game. I guess
could you just play at noon the next weekend?
I don't know.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Obviously, it takes a while for, I guess, people to get negative tests and all that. But I mean, couldn't you just? They're not supposed to play until New Year's Day, which is over a week away.
Yeah.
If you moved it to the next weekend, that would be like 17 days.
I will say this: if
or 14 days,
if a team plays in 2 bowl games and they have to get an opponent that wasn't there, you're gonna have to do more to just give them bowl gifts. It's gonna have to be more than that, because once again, we're talking about student athletes, right? We're talking about amateurs who, and I'm gonna say this, they don't love college football that much. Would they have loved to have been in the bowl site? Yes, but if I'm at home, no. We're at home and they're saying, hey, Kevin, BJ, and Ben, man, look, I know we didn't make a bowl game, but if y'all can get back here, Dallas home. Not doing it. Because the thing about it is, like you said, Kevin, if you go and play and you lose and you 6-7, now you 6-8, people gonna talk. Look, do I want to deal with the scrutiny of coming with it? I do think it's too many teams out there to not find one. But whatever team you get, that bowl site need to go above and beyond as far as like bowl accommodations for those schools. Because let's face it, these cities don't want to lose that money. Make no mistake about it. They don't want to, and
the schools don't want to either.
And what do you do for those fan bases in that situation? If a fan base because fan bases, they probably had plans of going to a bowl site. They keeping that money. What do we lower these hotel rooms? I don't know. I just think a lot goes into a bowl week. It's going to be easier said than done to do that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Of course, Georgia's had a few positive cases on their team. They are in the college football playoff. Kind of interesting that the CFP, not the NCAA, because they're not in charge of it, but the CFP came out and said, if for some reason you do not have enough players due to COVID protocols and all of that, then you will just forfeit and move forward. They will try to move the national championship game back to a point.
I think you have 4 days, maybe?
Something like that. There's a 4-day window they can move back, probably because they don't want to step on NFL playoffs at that point in terms of TV scheduling. But if you can't play in the national championship game because of COVID protocols and the other team can, you will forfeit and the other team will be awarded a national championship. And I was talking about this off the air. I talked about it with Christian on second down. I don't want a championship that way. I'm going what a lot of people do with Central Florida. I'm not doing it. You can say I want it, blah, blah, blah. I'm not hanging a banner saying I want a national championship because the other team had positive tests.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want it that way. And listen, in the spirit of competition, if one team has a forfeit, there is no, I would just go, there is no national champion that year, because if I can't play because of unforeseen circumstances beyond my control, and the other team wins, what did I win? I didn't do anything. So I agree with you, Kevin. I mean, once a competitor, always a competitor. You want to go, I'd rather lose the thing, fair and square than to win it because of default. I wouldn't want to do it like that.
And processing this first glance, I was a little surprised that they said, hey, if you can't go in the semifinal, it's a forfeit, because kind of what you were getting at, I guess, with other bowl games is, could you have a 3 or 4 day, and I understand you're talking about logistics. I understand you're talking about a lot of people. I mean, I think we get all that, but I guess it's not possible to move that back or have a rescheduling. But
I mean,
as you said,
scheduled in TIAA.
Yeah, I mean, yes. To be fair, I mean, a lot of moving parts.
The Jaguars may have to lose a home game. And I don't mean they won't play there. I mean, they may not be able to use the stadium because the Jaguars need to lose again on a Sunday.
But I mean with the playoffs,
sure.
I don't know what the logistics are around that, or how impossible it may be to move something. But yes, just for folks who didn't see that, if you do not have the players able to go, if you don't have the numbers, I think there's a minimum number of players you have to have because of COVID. There will be a forfeit in the college football semifinal.
Can I just go on the record and say that's not going to happen?
I mean, listen, I'm
not saying they're not putting the protocols out there, but
you're right.
Because I'm just saying this for what it means to the schools, for what it means to the networks, for what it means to the cities, there will be negative tests. I'm just saying, and look at the NFL, they're going to play the game. Like they will make sure that game gets played.
Yes, You might listen. You might not like who's on the field, but they will play them. Because I'll be canceling all the. Ooh, I've seen crazy things happen in the last 2 years. That would be the most shocking.
I mean, let's not forget the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
I mean, you've seen, and health and safety comes first, obviously.
But I think we're at a different spot 2 years down the road in terms of what we know than we were when it was first coming out. I mean, when they canceled the NCAA tournament, that was like weeks into this thing.
Sure.
And they're like, we don't know what's going on.
I'm just saying nothing would surprise me at this point. I mean, it's so hard to predict the next 24 hours, much less the next week or two. I mean, and I, in terms of the infrastructure, how possible, impossible, viable it is to kind of recreate something 7 days later, I don't know. But I will say this: nothing surprises me.
The brands known as Cincinnati, Michigan, Alabama, and Georgia will be put to the test because that brand equity is strong. And like you, Kevin, I mean, I know that my former coach Dan Mullen talked about the B team. If the B team has to run out there, they will get a chance to run out there because at the end of the day, BJ and Kevin, you know, just like I know. It is too much money on the line to just
hopefully we don't see COVID be a factor at all.
All I'm saying is the NCAA is preparing us. Listen, man, we got to have every protocol there, and we got to do testing between now, the day before, the day of. But
I'm just saying, look at when Nick Saban got it the time before, and everybody's like, he tested like.
He tested like crazy.
700. He didn't really, but he tested like, hey, I'm going to test like 17 times until I get all negatives, and then I'm going to. But he didn't really test it much. I'm just saying as a hyperbole statement. But I mean,
is it Michigan? I want to say the entire Michigan team I think the whole team took the booster as a team. So they try. So the teams are doing their part, but ladies and gentlemen, if it doesn't happen, that would be breaking news of all breaking news. Because me and Kevin was there, BJ, when they canceled the ACC championship game between Clemson and Florida State. We were there.
So basketball,
yeah. So I'm not saying it can't happen, but football is a total different animal, especially college football.
Yeah, I think again we were in the beginning days and weeks of it being a major factor in the United States. We've had a lot of time to research it and go through protocols and really examine how people are doing with this thing and better treatments. Maybe I would just be surprised if it gets to that point, given what's on the line for the national championship, not just on the field. I mean, that's a minuscule thing, but with what everybody's got invested in it and expecting to get on the flip side. But that was put out there today by the College Football Playoff Committee. So Texas A&M is out, and the College Football Playoff still good to go. Georgia's got a few positive tests, but at this point, still good to go for a week from Friday. For the first round of the college football playoff. We got so much to get to. When we come back, we're talking with Logan Wright, Georgia Southern running back, who has announced he is entering the 2022 NFL draft. He will join us when we return here. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back, 3 and Out here on this Wednesday. Kevin, BJ, and Ben. A lot to get to here as we head into the Christmas holidays, and of course, bowl games, and into the flip side, NFL playoffs, NFL draft talk as well. And joining us here, a young man who just announced he was entering the 2022 NFL draft, running back from Georgia Southern, Logan Wright, joining us here on 3 and Out. Logan, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We're doing fantastic. Again, you made the announcement you're going to enter the 2022 NFL draft. Talk to what went into making that decision and what you're looking forward to now beginning this process.
What went into making that decision was I feel like I had a great career at Georgia Southern, and I just felt like it was time for me to move on to the next level and take my shot at the NFL.
Logan, you look at your career, incredibly productive, almost 2,000 career rushing yards, close to 20 rushing touchdowns. What do you think stands out about you as a prospect, and what do you think your tape will show to scouts and evaluators?
I think my tape will show that I'm a physical runner. It shows that I have the blocking ability, catching ability. I feel like it'll show that I'm an all-purpose back, and I'm able to do a lot for a program, for a team, and I'm very productive. So I think that it'll show that it'll all show on my film.
Logan, when you think about the NFL now, it seems to be a two-back system. They want to have two guys that can go out there and run between the tackles, as you mentioned, catching the ball out the backfield. You coming into the league at a good time for teams to be able to utilize what you do well, which is don't come off the field.
Oh yes, most definitely. That was another reason why I felt like it was my time to go ahead and take my side at the NFL, because I can't do it all, and I know I'll be a great fit for any team.
You look at the next part of this process, getting ready for the workouts. What does that look like for you? What's the next step? Obviously, post holidays. So, what's what's kind of your plan to get ready for that process?
Just to train as hard as I can. Looking for some bowls to come in and try to get me to come to their bowl game, some senior bowls, and just train as hard as I can just to prove that I'm ready and I'm capable of everything that NFL teams think I'm capable of.
6 foot 230, obviously a physical back. You look at some of your performances like the Arkansas State game where you had over 200 yards. What are your best attributes? You're going to have the next couple of weeks. Guys are going to be scouting you and talking about you. From your standpoint, what do you feel like are your best traits as a football player?
I think that I can block very well. I feel like I can run. I run the ball really physical. As you can see, I feel like I make guys pay if they miss it. I think my IQ of the game is really high. I know that I can catch the ball very well out of the backfield and make people miss. I feel like my game is moving into more of a complete role, and I feel like everything's looking like it's on the up and up for my game. So I know I got some weaknesses in my game that I'm just gonna work on over the next few months to the point up until the point of the draft. But for the most part, I feel like I'm an all-purpose back. So I feel like that's.
Logan, is there somebody in the league that you pattern your game after? 6 feet, 230. That's like Saquon Barkley type size. Is there a guy in the league that you like the way he plays the game and maybe you try to pattern your game after?
It's not really anybody I try to pattern my game after. I take bits and pieces from a lot of different guys, and I just try to make my own game out of it. I like the way how physical Derrick Henry is. I like how Alvin Kamara receives the ball in the backfield. It don't even really matter to me. I just take bits and pieces of everybody's game and try to make my own.
Logan Wright joining us here on 3 and Out. Logan, speak to your time there at Georgia Southern and what your kind of memories are of playing there in Statesboro.
I have some great memories in Statesboro. I really just want to speak on the brotherhood there. I feel like the guys there are amazing. It's a different kind of bond. I feel like they saw me grow from a boy to a man, on and off the field, and they helped me grow. And I'll always be grateful for everything that happened to Georgia Southern.
Talk about the guys that have come from Statesboro and gone to the National Football League. I mean, countless players have played at Georgia Southern at a high level, gotten that chance in the NFL, and made the most of it. How big of a part of Georgia Southern's tradition is that? Guys doing it big in Statesboro, but then also making it to the next level and making the most of those opportunities.
That's big. That's really big, actually, because at Georgia Southern, there's still hard work and toughness in you. They want you to be the best version of you, and I feel like guys that made it to the league and been very successful have been very tough. So I just feel like Georgia Southern has helped a lot with that, and I feel like those guys are really tough guys, really good guys.
Logan, when you're getting ready to go through the pre-draft process, you're getting ready to get your body in the best shape you possibly can to run as fast as you can, jump as high as you can when the 2022 draft comes. The commission comes up there, or
knows the system coming out of Georgia Southern. And I think the track record of guys that have come out of Statesboro, especially at the running back position, speaks for itself. And I think you will see Logan Wright talked about a lot in the pre-draft process, roughly 2,000 career yards, had about 800 this year, played a lot of football, has been successful. I think he's an exciting prospect.
Almost 2,000 career yards for a guy, BJ, as you mentioned, red shirt. I understand you're going to have to share the football when you play running back at Georgia Southern. That's the biggest thing you get from a guy like Logan. Most guys are used to being the man, getting the most touches, being the feature back, and you expect him to go out there and produce. What about what can I do with a limited amount of opportunities catching the football run? And he talked about it. I can block. I play special teams. The quickest way to make the team is to start on special teams. That means you dressing on Sunday. For people who be thinking, oh, I got to be the number one back. No, I got to be the number one on special teams. That way, that's how many running backs we're gonna have. We got 3 up on Sundays, because one of them is a special teamer. And for those people who don't think that's important, a guy by the name of Terrell Davis was on special teams. How did his career end up? Oh, he's in the Hall of Fame. I'm telling you, that's how you get noticed the quickest. Everybody wants to be a star. Can you be a co-star until that starring role becomes, a part of you?
We've got more to come here on 3 and Out. We'll come back. Ben's got Troop Talk for this Wednesday afternoon. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Great to be here with you on this Wednesday. Glad you're making us a part of your day. Streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. Also on your mobile device with the ESPN app. You can also catch us live streaming on Facebook and our YouTube channel and Twitter as well. So we encourage you to check us out in a number of ways there on the show. Transfer portal has been wide open, and BJ and Ben, the rich continue to get richer. Alabama in the last week has gotten Eli Ricks, all SEC at worst, right? I mean, at worst, corner, maybe one of the best in the country, transfers from LSU to Alabama. And then Jahmyr Gibbs makes it official and transfers from Georgia Tech to Alabama. He was an All-American, all-purpose player for Georgia Tech this season and one of the top backs in the country coming out of high school a couple of years ago. And I know, BJ, you were laughing saying, oh, he might get to play a little bit. No, he's going to play. So Alabama got a top-flight running back, a top-flight corner to go along with the already just loaded talent on their roster.
No, Gibbs a generational playmaker, potentially, when you look at everything he can do on the field, and a big loss for Georgia Tech. I think Gibbs becomes, when you start to look ahead, and granted he's right there in the same backfield as Bryce Young, but I think he's one of the players you start to think about as a Heisman Trophy candidate for 2022. I really do. And I know you have, some other great backs there with Alabama, but Gibbs finished third in the country in all-purpose yards and was up near 9 yards per play for every time he touched the football, got about 9 yards, which was among the best rates you had for any player, any position in college football. So I think there were times, clearly, watching Georgia Tech last year where you looked and thought, why isn't Gibbs getting the ball more? I mean, I think this is a guy that needs the football in his hands, that if I'm coaching a team and he's there, you're 20, 25 touches a game. And I know Georgia Tech really deep at the running back spot, but this is a guy that is a game changer. And yes, you couple in adding Eli Ricks, Kevin, All-American corner, like you said, at worst, probably one of the 3 or 4 best corners in the country. And now you add in, at worst, probably one of the 4 or 5 best running backs in the country. Yes. So if people say Alabama doesn't use the transfer portal, they do. They may not come in and add, 15 guys via the transfer portal, but they're going to get a couple of big-time stars, and they have absolutely done that with Ricks and certainly from here in the Peach State, Jahmyr Gibbs.
I think the old adage is true, what Kevin said about Alabama, right? They don't recruit. They just ask, what's up, Jahmyr? You want to come to Tuscaloosa? Sure. And you knew that, let's face it, you knew that Jahmyr Gibbs was going to land somewhere big. He had his pick of the litter. How do you know? He's at Alabama. And everybody think, Alabama wants everybody. No, they don't. No. Alabama wants certain players, not all players. And you talk about a guy who, BJ, about as versatile as you can be. I mean, kick the ball to him. He can take it to the house. Throw the ball to him out the backfield. I think in his career, he's averaging like right at 5.2 yards, a carry, 8 touchdowns. That's with limited touches. So you got an inspired, not banged up, used up player who still wants to prove that he's one of the top running backs and players in the country. So for those who think, man, Alabama's doing it right now with quarterbacking. Brian Robinson, the guy who was supposed to be that alpha dog this year, BJ, kind of been banged up a little bit. Have a backfield that potentially have Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs in it. A guy that wants to go out there.
And the Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young.
Yeah, that slouch. That guy, he's awful. No, I just think that when you knew that Jahmyr Gibbs was going to end up, at a premier school to kind of match his premier talent, Coach College had one thing to do, man. Keep the best player happy. But Kevin, you said the rich getting richer. No, I don't know what Alabama's getting, but they got a lot of it.
But think about this. Think about this with the transfer portal, though. You look ahead with Alabama, and of course you're going to recruit
I think the number 2 class in the country,
right? But you think about what they've done now in the portal. You have Ricks on offense or on defense. You have Gibbs on offense. You go back to last year's additions. You got Henry To'o on defense, who's one of the Tide's top leading tacklers, and Jamison Williams on offense, who leads the SEC in receiving and is one of the best playmakers in the country. So Alabama may not be going out and getting, 8, 10, 12, 20 like Michigan State guys in the transfer portal, but they are finding 1 or 2 of the best players in the country. They are bringing those guys in, and they are helping lead Alabama to more and more success.
Yeah, you're supplementing your roster in a major, major way, and it's incredible to see. But yeah, Alabama, I guess people are right. Hey, if you were going to get them, this would be the year to do it, and they're win away from playing for the national championship. Again, when it's
so just to confirm, this year where they have the Heisman winner at quarterback.
No, I'm saying, but did we not have people? We have multiple people on
if
that said that.
And they're the number 1 team in the country and just beat Georgia by multiple scores. This is the year to get them, right?
I mean, Texas A&M, I think at the end of the day, Jimbo Fisher made, he's telling what he's going to do in the offseason. Got a chance to do that. That quarterback that did it, he's gone. So if this was the year, Florida, you had your shot, came up 2 points short, Texas A&M got that dub in Georgia, well, you kind of got to see what Alabama can look like when they're at their best.
They might get a second shot at him, but we'll have to see how that plays out. And again, Alabama just continuing to load up. And as you said, they went out and so far have the number 2 recruiting class in college football for the incoming year. We've got more to come here on 3 and Out. We'll take 3, Christmas edition of Take 3. Matt Smith will join us next hour. We're talking college football with him as well. We'll get to some bowl picks coming up next hour as well. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network, streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. Also catch us live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Go to our YouTube page at ESPN Coastal, and you can follow along with us. Hit that subscribe button, and you'll know when we go live each and every time. Hour 2, Take 3 coming up next. Good to have you back here, 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, BJ Bennett, Ben Troop, glad you're making us a part of your day. A lot to get to. We'll chat with Matt Smith this hour. Also getting to some bowl picks coming up as well. But first, I will wait on BJ Bennett to tell me we are allowed to do take 3 when it's all said and done. So I'll just sit here and stall, Ben, until BJ gives me the go ahead. Now we can do it. We can take 3. All right, take 3 here on 3 and Out, a Christmas edition of 3 and Out. Fellas, what is your take 1? What is your favorite Christmas song?
I mean, Ben, my first thought was to go through Kevin's album. You know, Kevin has some great Christmas classics, but no, love the Christmas music. Get you in the holiday spirit, the holiday mood. I think What Christmas Means to Me by Stevie Wonder, I think that's one that just grabs you, makes you feel good. You know, you think about, we were talking on Second Down about some of the Christmas movies. You think about Elf in the scene where he's kind of running through the store and having a great time. That's what's playing in the background. So you hear it, you hear the beginning of it. Obviously, Stevie Wonder, one of the all-time, greats. I just think it's perfect. Puts you in a happy mood. You feel the festivities. You kind of feel the season. That's What Christmas Means to Me by Stevie Wonder. That's my pick.
I mean, for me, it's simple. Silent Night, The Temptations. I mean, the thing about it is growing up, my parents would always listen, my grandma would listen to The Temptations sometimes, but, Kevin, that's that, you got that baritone, Merry Christmas. It's just all that. I just loved it. And I think sometimes we get caught up in today's version of these Christmas songs, people that can kind of sing a little bit. No, The Temptations, go check it out. You were doing yourself.
Heard it last night. Yeah, beautiful.
Yes, listen. Silent Night, The Temptations, Book It. Beast, Savage, whatever you want to call it, one of the greatest songs of all time.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let's see here. There's so many Christmas songs that I like. I'm usually more like a upbeat. Of course, a lot of the classics are good, but I will go with one I always like is Run, Run, Rudolph. I don't know who does it. But
that's Chuck Berry. That's Chuck Berry, right?
Yeah, he does it. Yeah, the original.
Hold on. That is.
Is that Chuck Berry?
That is.
It's covered by numerous people.
Yeah. That is the one you could definitely say the original is the best, no matter who does.
Got the energy, got the tempo.
Yeah, it's just something fun, something light. I'm trying to think of what the other one, the one I really like, because it's like a kind of modern take on Christmas. It's not Mannheim Steamroller, it's the other one, but they play like guitars and stuff with an orchestra. I forget what the name of their band is called.
Oh, I'll tell you what's another good one. While you think, Christmas Wrapping by the Waitresses. It's kind of a little different, but it is a classic.
That's
Enjoy
the name
it.
of the song.
Yeah, Christmas Wrapping, and the band is the Waitresses.
Some of our lovely listeners will help me out. It's not Mannheim Steamroller, but there's another one. It's like Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Oh, right.
Where they play like they kind of get the modern rock version of some of the classics. So
okay.
I like some of their stuff. That's not a song per se, but I like their take on a couple of things. All right, take 2. Favorite Christmas movie.
It really is hard to go against Elf because and what is so amazing about me saying this, Ben, is that Kevin has never seen it. Like of all the movies, that might be the greatest film of our time. Like, no, seriously. I mean, Elf is an all-time classic, and from the story to Will Ferrell to obviously, the family comes together, the community comes together, Christmas spirit. It's a classic. And you start out, you're 6'8". You don't understand why you're different than everybody else, and you're looking around, and maybe you don't have some of the same skills that all of your friends do, and then you hear somebody whispering, and you realize I'm a human being. I'm not an elf, and it's startling, and you have to recover from that. You have to walk through.
Are you spoilering?
No, I haven't got no. I think it's pretty much understood that Will Ferrell in the movie is not an elf.
Right. Okay.
Okay, but you have to walk through the candy cane forest, and you walk all the way to New York City, and so much of what he's experiencing is so shocking. He's not accustomed to a lot of the things that he's having to learn about on the fly. And then you have, the story of the family coming together. Kevin, tonight, you go home, you watch this movie with your family, with your kids. You will not stop laughing. It's a feel-good movie. Santa, obviously, has a role late. but funny, clever, creative, original. Got to go with Elf.
This is simple. Look, when you think about the world we live in today, there's a movie. There are times we say to ourselves, man, I'm looking at these people, man, that got all this money, man. I wonder what it's like. It's trading places. You got a guy who is homeless, another guy who they trying to run out of the company. And then the Dukes think they finna come and do it. Old Winthrop and all those guys. But then BJ, Eddie Murphy said, all right, I'm going to trade places with you. And then he realized, wait a minute, y'all doing this to him? Then they realized, hey, let's turn the scheme on the schemers. What? Let's do what everybody really want to do. What? Let's bring some chaos to these rich folks real quick, these wealthy men out here. And I think at the end, listen, when they sitting there, listen, I don't understand the stock market, but when they sitting there and they go, wait, what? Sell, and all of a sudden, I just think that, that's that Kevin Thomas chaos. Kevin goes, listen, they're getting rid of you to give me your job. I figure out who you are. You want to kill me because they gave me your stuff. Then I tell you, wait a minute, Kevin, I'm going to turn it on them. You going to turn it on them? I'm going to turn it on them. And at the end, we take all their bread. Let's do it.
So,
hey, man.
So Trading Places can be a Christmas movie, but people are saying Die Hard isn't?
No, okay. No,
I was wondering how long it was going to take you to bring that up.
Let me get the scene real quick. Okay, I just come in and said, hey, somebody said that Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie. Kevin gave us Kevin said, listen, he was giving presents. He was coming to me and breaking it down. And Kevin broke down Die Hard, like BJ breaks down analytics when you talking about what's the best third down, percentage for this slot receiver. It was beautiful. And I think if the movie was set during Christmas time and all these different Christmas trees and all this, I get the action and I get the fact that, your sister's foot is, got little feet. I have to walk on all this glass. Kevin, please break it down to the listeners how you broke it down.
I did.
To a one Christian
You did.
And listen, finally put this to rest that Die Hard is indeed a Christmas movie.
Favorite movie for me, by the way, is Christmas Story, tied with National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Both very, very, very good must-sees for me every single year. But no, Die Hard, Christmas movie. It's not that hard, right? Much like I said with Taken. The whole plot falls apart.
How are you going to tie that into this?
Much like with my stance on Taken, the whole movie falls apart on one key element that he tracks down the dude who recorded his voice and he didn't actually record it, but that's okay. I mean, people forget to record things. It happens. That being said, Die Hard Christmas movie. Take away the Christmas setting. Does any of that stuff happen outside of the hostile takeover?
No, because they were at the plaza for a Christmas party.
It's after hours. The entire business plaza is empty except for the people there on that floor. And why are they there? They are having a Christmas party. Bruce Willis ain't even in town if it's not Christmas.
And didn't he say it's not a Christmas movie?
No, he said it's a Bruce Willis movie. I say, fine, it's a Bruce Willis Christmas movie. That being said, Bruce Willis, John McClane, to those of you initiated to the movie, John McClane is still in New York City if it's not Christmas. His whole point for being in L.A. at that time was he was coming to see his kids for Christmas. He had a teddy bear in the limo, and he was going to meet
And I know Christian said, well, the setting, that's the setting. Well, yeah, doesn't the setting make the movie?
That revolves around the whole story. That revolves around the whole story revolves around the fact if it's 4th of July party, one, all the people, Takagi's not going to be there because it's 4th of July. Y'all do what you want. I'm out.
But look
he
at
probably
it like
didn't even come into work today. And so the rest of them were like, well, if Takagi ain't here, I'm bumping up a few hours early. They're not there at 7, 8 o'clock at night after hours. It's the office Christmas party. Takagi, the head dude of the multinational corporation, is there. That's why the terrorists want to come get him, because he's in a less than occupied building at Christmas time. He's an easy target. They go get him, and they can hold the whole building up to get in the safe. The whole plot falls apart if you take away the Christmas setting. And sorry, there it is.
And some might say, oh, well, Santa's got to be. Okay, listen. Home Alone is a Christmas movie.
Yep.
Santa's not in Home Alone.
He's not.
Okay, it's a Christmas movie because it happens at Christmas, which is the same thing that happens with Die Hard. I understand that there are people, I guess, including Bruce Willis, who are saying this is not a Christmas movie. But to Kevin's point, it's a pretty simple premise, right? It takes place during Christmas.
All right.
Does that not, by proxy, make it a Christmas film?
So
yes.
So if it's not Christmas, again, Bruce Willis is not there to save the day, and Carl, the cop,
Carl Winslow,
Carl Winslow has to save the day, which obviously he wasn't going to bum rush the entire building.
He was like, hey man, you got some company up there.
With his police issue. So I'm just saying, if you just remove the fact and say it's not a Christmas movie, you could have done this in spring. Fine. You need somebody because John McClane's going to be hanging in New York. He's not there.
All right, there's a poll up at ESPN Coastal. Very simple. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
A lot of smart people.
At this point, 66% yes and 34% no. And got some comments. Cody chiming in saying it's a Bruce Willis movie. Joe saying absolutely Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I think you've proven that, Kevin.
I mean, every Denzel movie is a Denzel movie. I mean, every Ben Affleck movie is a Ben Affleck movie. But you have themes.
Right? Bruce Willis's wife, a senior vice president, right?
Yep.
Senior vice president. She's the upper up of the Nakatomi Corporation. It's 7:00 on a weeknight or whatever Christmas Day is supposed to be taking place. She ain't in the building. She's left. She probably went 4:00. I'm gone.
Mrs. McClane. I mean, it's a beautifully constructed movie, but it is indeed.
You know, Ellis is off at a buddy's house getting, cocained up. And he's not there either.
Talk about it.
So it's like he doesn't get killed because he's trying to deliver John. So all these people aren't there if you remove the Christmas setting.
I think it's a very fair.
No. There are a few things that Kevin gets, very passionate about.
And then Christian changed the argument. He got mad at you for becoming too impassioned.
Yes. He said I was too impassioned and sucked on the oxygen.
Because Kevin said, I'm tired of this every year. I have to defend. And I don't care what Bruce Willis says. He is confused.
I mean, sometimes if we just think about things logically, it takes place at Christmas. If it wasn't Christmas, half the people wouldn't have even been at that building at the very least, if not all of them would not have been there. And it would have been a different story. Same thing with the chocolate. If you put it all in there, it's chocolate. There's no double chocolate. There's no triple chocolate.
Double fudge.
No, exactly.
Triple chocolate fudge.
Why is there no double strawberry? Why is there no double vanilla? Oh, no, it's French vanilla and regular vanilla. Why don't we do that?
But yet, Kevin will go to a restaurant and order boneless wings. That is also not a thing. That is a chicken strip.
Sometimes I
will die on that hill.
Sometimes I like to have a mythological dinner.
If somebody says traditional or non-traditional, last time I checked, it's supposed to be a bone in it.
So really, they should say original and make-believe. And then
chicken nuggets.
Yeah. I want the chicken nuggets with sauce on them.
Talk about it.
Because delicious. I'm too lazy to mess with the bone right now. So that's what I want. You can come at me. I don't care. Hit me up on Twitter.
We should have filmed it. Kevin was like, I'm going to do this one last time. I'm not going to do what you think I'm going to do.
Part of that was, I hyped up the performance because, I knew Christian would get upset. But I mean, just think about things in a certain order. If it's not a Christmas movie, then Bruce Willis is never there. The end. Who's your protagonist at that point, ladies and gentlemen? Ellis.
If Bruce Willis ain't there, it's a wrap. I mean, he was a one-man wrecking crew.
So, Ellis ain't getting it done.
He's not.
Mr. Takagi certainly wasn't getting it done. So who's stopping Hans Gruber?
Ellis. I mean, wow.
I mean, Bruce Willis knows how to take it out.
Hey, Hans.
He took out Hans in the first one. Took out his cousin in the second one.
Hey, Hans. Man, it was.
It was his cousin in the third one. I don't remember.
Now, I will say this. Die Hard with a Vengeance is better than Die Hard. I will say that.
That's a different argument.
Now, we're going to start there today.
So next time we don't have a lot to talk about on the show. I just need to put on the show rundown Die Hard movies, and you guys will.
Well, yeah, because I think at the end of the day, Kevin doesn't like the fact Kevin's like you, BJ. He don't like inaccuracies. That's inaccurate. That's not what I. So and Kevin broke it down. Kevin said, "Listen, I walk around ready all the time when it comes to this type of nonsense."
It's okay. Mistakes happen. It's fine. Again, love Liam Neeson, love his movies. Watch Taken. Right before the guy says good luck, he unplugs the recording device.
I don't know that we've confirmed that.
I'm saying.
I don't know that we've confirmed that.
Hold on. Because Kevin did.
But that's the whole movie.
Did he unplug the earbuds?
No. When he gets down and he gets Marco from Tripolia on the phone, and he gets his little suitcase and he plugs it in. He's recording, and right before he gives him I have a very special. As soon as he goes into the Billy, bad talk, he unplugs the little recording device and says, "Let me tell you something right now." And he goes, "Good luck." So unless he started a dang voice recording on the phone, which he didn't, He never heard the phrase.
How do you know what he did or did not do?
Marco Trump, which then leads him to his kidnapped daughter. That whole story falls apart, and I love the movie. One of my favorite movies. You know this.
That's one of your favorite movies?
Yeah, I love Taken. And then, when you get that plot twist of the whole thing is built on a lie, it gets even better.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, everybody go home, your homework assignment. Watch Taken. He unplugs the recording device before the dude says good luck. And that's the whole premise of how he finds his daughter. The end.
Like the end of the show, or?
No, it's the end of that plot.
Kevin is a movie buff. For those of you who don't know, Kevin looks for inaccuracies in the movie.
Well, I will say, I took a few film classes in college.
Oh my God. That's so cringeworthy.
It is cringeworthy. I said that just to get that reaction.
No, you didn't.
I did.
Beautiful.
But I do look for mistakes sometimes in movies that way. But I do because, again, especially when the whole premise of the movie falls apart on that mistake. That being said, what is your favorite childhood movie?
Do we have time for
somebody could be having that favorite childhood movie. Matt Smith, I'm sorry. Do you want to take three? What's your favorite childhood Christmas memory?
Yeah. More so than any one, just waking up
quick.
I'm getting to it. Waking up Christmas morning with my brother, deciding who's going to go wake up dad, or do we let it ride? How long can we contain just the excitement of Christmas morning, man.
Back when the Super Nintendo came out, mom couldn't afford it. My grandmother, like her house partially burnt down, and there was some furniture that my mom had that was insured. So when she went back to the furniture company, they told her, okay, we're going to replace it. What do you want? She says, oh, man, I think my kids like the Super Nintendo. And, we walk in the house and we see the thing. And it's one of those things where I'm like, this mama, you didn't. She's like, I'm that type of mama. So shout out to my mom. And listen, saw a lot of fights because, I'm getting ready to, win Super Mario. My brother turn the game off right before I'm about to kill King Koopa. But
yeah,
I mean, shout out to the Super Nintendo fans out there. My kids now, they want PS5, 6, and 7. So,
way back to the early days of Rage Quit.
Yes.
It meant something totally different than it does now. No, I think one time when I was a kid, it actually snowed in Atlanta. And when my son was a kid, it actually snowed. But when I was a kid, we got flurries one year. I'm like, man, I didn't think it snowed on Christmas in Georgia. And it didn't stick, but it did snow. I was like, hey, pseudo white Christmas, I'll take it. That's take three. Matt Smith patiently waiting. Sorry, Matt, we got fired up about Die Hard, Taken, and Falls of movies. He'll join us next. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you here, 3 and Out on this Wednesday. Kevin, BJ, and Ben. Bowl season right in the swing of things. Got several bowl games coming up involving SEC and ACC over the next several days. Florida in the Gasparilla Bowl, I believe, tomorrow. So that coming up. And joining us here to talk about that and more from SouthernPigskin.com, Matt Smith joining us. Matt, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey guys, doing well. First day as a 37-year-old, so get used to that and just trying to relax before all the Griswolds come to town and destroy the house for a few days. But such is life right now for everybody, I suppose.
Well, happy birthday there, Matt, and glad you are spending some time here with us. Obviously, a lot continuing to go along with college football. You had Texas A&M back out of the Gator Bowl, and obviously that caused the college football playoff folks to put out, I guess, updated COVID protocols saying if you can't play due to positive tests, it's a forfeit. And how do you think that all actually ends up playing out? I don't know if anybody wants to claim a playoff win or a national championship on a forfeiture.
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly been surprised plenty of times over the past 2 years with some of this stuff, but I would hope no one gets to that point. I hope the players are allowed to get home and enjoy some time with their families for a few days after a long, tough 4 or 5 months. It's such a grind for them, and I hope they get that time. And when they reconvene, whatever the schools want to do. If they want to test everybody, fine. If you want to test your symptoms, if you want to say, hey, we're only going to test you if you report symptoms and kind of do a wink-wink thing, that's fine too. It's kind of up to them. I think the bowls are mostly leaving the testing protocols up to the individual teams. The travel plans, I know some are letting teams come later, which that shouldn't be a big deal with no real media opportunities outside of virtual stuff. So, I don't think it'll have any impact. So they had to do those just to, cross their T's and dot their I's, I suppose. But for it to get to that point, especially given what we know about the state of this and the significance of the symptoms we're seeing, I just can't imagine it gets to that point where we go down that road. And hopefully we just get 2 decent games a week from Friday. That's my only hope for all of this.
Matt, the Gator Bowl right down the road from us. Texas A&M earlier today, as Kevin mentioned, they are not going to be in it. What do you think the options are? We've seen, speculation on Twitter. Could you get a 5-7 team? Could you have a team play a second bowl game that's already played? What do you think the best options are there for the Gator Bowl?
Yeah, I don't think a second bowl game is likely. I think that's a really tough ask for players or teams that have pretty much dispersed and closed up shop. I think a 5-7 team is possible. I know some probably can't get that together in the next 9 days away, I guess. I know Brett Bielema is kind of campaigning online for Illinois to get a shot at it. So that would make a ton of sense. And heck, wouldn't it be funny if Texas took a shot and took Texas A&M's place and then beat Wake Forest? Boy, you never hear the end of that coming out of Austin if that were to happen. So I think Dave Clawson said they need an answer by Friday. Who knows what day of the week it is this time of year, but I think that's 2 days from now. So my hunch is something gets worked out, and they'll find a 5-7 opponent willing to do it, and we'll get a decent football game down in Jacksonville next week. So unfortunately, what happened to A&M, I think that's pretty common across all sports right now.
Matt, when you think about the college football playoff, and obviously, we still got some time before that, and you look at these protocols, the world is going to be watching to see if these 4 teams actually get to play, which I think something dramatic will have to happen to not for them not to play it. But if and when Alabama and Georgia makes it to the national championship, and just say for some reason Alabama can't play in it because of the protocols, and Georgia, wins the national championship by default, would you be surprised if a Kirby Smart said, we don't want to get a national championship this way?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as much as Georgia fans are dying to get that 1980 off their backs, no one would ever want to see that happen. And even if they were to beat Cincinnati, it might kind of feel illegitimate. So I think it's just so important for them to do it by beating the Goliath in college football, their arch nemesis. So, I hope it doesn't get to that point. I know they've allowed some flexibility to go pretty much that entire week up until Saturday to play that game. So the semifinal seems more at risk from a COVID cancellation forfeiture perspective than the national title game. So, but yeah, funny question to think about. That would probably be the most Georgia thing ever, to just kind of back into it, the national championship, and not even get to earn it and celebrate it and have the big party. But yeah, I think for them it would mean a lot. They'll certainly take it if they beat Cincinnati, but I think they really want it to happen against Alabama. That would be certainly the cap on a long journey that's taken more than 4 decades to finally get the Dogs back to the top, and certainly they got a shot at it.
Certainly, and Matt, as we got bowl games coming up over the next couple of days, a lot coming up on the week after Christmas, leading up to the first of the year. What team in the SEC do you think? And I know we've talked about the marginalization of bowl games, et cetera. But what team do you think needs a bowl win most out of the SEC, just to kind of say, yep, we kind of are moving things in a positive direction heading into 2022?
Yeah, I think Tennessee definitely probably the one of the teams that could benefit from it after putting together a pretty decent year. South Carolina as well on that front. They got a pretty tough task, but they will definitely play hard. Should have a lot of fans up there in Charlotte against a very Jekyll and Hyde North Carolina team. So I think they have a shot as well. But I think one thing I'm looking for, and maybe we haven't seen in years past, where we kind of write off some of these teams with interim coaches that they really don't care about the bowls. But now with the transfer portal and, teams having so much roster turnover, I think you might see more of an effort from a team like Florida tomorrow, because a lot of these players that are returning might be playing for their jobs. This is Billy Napier's first chance to see them while he's technically their head coach. I know he's not necessarily coaching the game. But for some players who could be worried about, having their jobs lost by start of next season, maybe going into the portal, if some players aren't playing up to par, I think that could be give a renewed focus to a team like Florida, who's playing with an interim coach tomorrow night against UCF, and the UCF angle as well. So I'm actually kind of interested to see what Florida looks like, both because of that new element with the transfer portal and such, as well as playing an in-state team like UCF, who's been running their mouth for a number of years now. So kind of interested in that game more than I thought I would be in a Gators bowl game when they closed out their 6-6 season. So yeah, that one, Mississippi State, Texas Tech, just because Mike Leach absolutely despises everything about Texas Tech. If he can put up a big number, I think they're favored by 8-9 points. So I guess a reasonable chance that game could get out of hand. He will run it up every chance he gets. So it could be an interesting one there in Memphis next week. What else? Yeah, I think Tennessee and South Carolina are kind of the two ones I'm looking for, in addition to the semifinals, for teams that can really use a boost and get some momentum going into what still should be a pretty down SEC East in 2022.
Matt, looking ahead to the playoff games on the field, for a long time, people have asked, well, what would a team like Cincinnati do when they have to face Alabama? And I know Alabama's dealing with some injuries, but what's your gut tell you about the Cotton Bowl? Are we going to see a close game, or do you think at the end of the contest, Alabama wins this by multiple scores?
I think I would. I think it's still 13.5. I'm surprised that hasn't creeped up over 2 touchdowns. But I would take Alabama on that line. But Cincinnati is really solid. It's really hard to find a weakness outside of their kicker. If it comes down to field goals, major advantage Alabama. That's a huge problem. But, a solid quarterback who can do a little of both with his legs and with his arm. Obviously, the 2 cornerbacks you'll hear a lot about, in Gardner and Bryant, having a tough task. I don't know if they'll travel one of those against Jameson Williams. Probably not. But I think if their defensive line can have some success, kind of like we saw from Auburn and from Arkansas and from LSU, they probably don't quite have the personnel of those teams, but they're pretty solid. Certainly the most talented of any of the G5 teams. And Alabama's offensive line, despite playing really well against Georgia, has not really shown in that week-to-week consistency. So I think they can definitely hang a little bit. Certainly the best G5 team we've seen in the CFP era, probably going back to maybe TCU and Boise around 2009, 2010 teams. I think that Cincinnati's right up there with them. I think the top of the sport is better now than it was then, back in the Oregon, Auburn that year. I really thought that TCU team could have won the national title. I don't think Cincinnati can do that. But I think they'll fare well. I think it'll be better than some of those other Alabama semifinals we've seen, the Michigan State game, maybe even the Notre Dame game last year. I think they'll hang around, but I do like Alabama to ultimately cover. You have a guy like Jameson Williams. Cincinnati doesn't see talent like that. They didn't see it in their conference, didn't even see it playing against Notre Dame. So I think just those couple key difference makers are going to boost Alabama to a fairly comfortable win. I think it'll be a decent game. I don't think we'll be pointing all the P5 snobs at Cincinnati, but I still think the Tide pretty much have this game wrapped up by the end of the third quarter.
Man, I mean, when you think about this Georgia team, as we talked about earlier, we know that they're not looking past this Michigan team, right? I mean, Michigan doesn't play the style of football that Georgia's used to, but they got 2 bookend defensive ends, with one of them being, a Heisman Trophy finalist, and an offensive line that's built to run the football, even if Georgia is that immovable force when trying to do that.
Right, and that's exactly how you take Jabo and Hutchinson out of the game, is being able to run the ball, getting 40 carries and having Stetson Bennett only dropping back, 21, 22, 23 times. That's how Georgia wins this game, is trying to negate those guys in this pass rush. I think the offensive line, again, it's more built to run the ball. They're okay as a pass blocking unit. I haven't really been overwhelmed. I've kind of been underwhelmed by them each of the past 2 years, with Matt Luke coming over as the position coach after leaving Ole Miss. So, yeah, I think that's certainly a key there. Michigan, I don't think they have that difference maker at wide receiver that we saw from Jameson Williams. They're solid. They got a couple good guys. They lost probably their best receiver in the first game of the year, Ronnie Bell, to a significant injury. So the running game's really good, but I still think Georgia's, for the most part, just a little bit more athletic version of Michigan. They want to run the ball with Corbin Haskins. They do it well. Solid offensive line. Obviously good in the front seven. So I think there's been maybe a tad bit of an overreaction to Georgia's performance against Alabama, because Michigan, despite being very solid and not having a true weakness, I would say, I just don't think has that level of difference maker like we saw with guys like Williams and I should say Anderson, but Hutchinson and Jabo certainly can stack up for the most part with him. So yeah, I think that's the key for Georgia, is trying to take those guys out of the game by running the ball well. Tough task against this Michigan front. They're good. But overall, I think there's still a bit of an overreaction to the way Georgia played against Alabama. I still think they're the better team, and I think they will be playing the Tide for the national title in a couple of weeks.
Matt Smith, SouthernPigskin.com, our guest here on 3 and Out. Matt, appreciate the time. Happy birthday. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you and yours, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.
Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas, fellas.
Appreciate it. Matt Smith joining us here on 3 and Out. We got much more to come. We'll look at some bowl games involving ACC teams coming up in the next couple of days, and we'll get to that when we return here on 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back, 3 and Out here on this Wednesday. Kevin Thomas, BJ Bennett, and Ben Troop wishing you and yours Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays as we head through this season. Bowl games continuing. I think Army is in the First Responders Bowl tonight against I had it on the tip of my tongue. Missouri. So an SEC ball game tonight. We'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. But ACC ball games coming up here over the next couple of days, post Christmas and more. A chance for the league, BJ, to have a little bit of redemption. I know Pitt and Wake Forest already with 10 wins. They have a couple more teams that could do that with wins. NC State could get to 10 wins. Clemson could get to 10 wins if they win their bowl game. So some big bowl games upcoming for them. Boston College and East Carolina coming up in right after Christmas in the Military Bowl.
And I think Boston College has had a good couple of years under Jeff Hafley, the former defensive coordinator at Ohio State, who came over. And keep in mind, Boston College lost Phil Jurkovec for a number of games this year and was able to still put together a season to get into a bowl game. So I like Boston College here. I did see big news for the Eagles. Zay Flowers, their star wide receiver, who a lot of people were saying will be a second-round pick. He's going to come back for next year, but I think Boston College wins this game.
Well, I mean, the thing about this, BJ, we always talk about a team like Boston College always fighting, like a team like a Wake Forest for saying, listen, man, we play football here too. I'll go with them BC boys, but I will say something that Kevin said that shouldn't be overlooked. You got 4 teams that got a chance to go 10 wins.
It's been a good year for the league.
If that's the SEC, we are losing. So let's not look past the fact that Pitt, Wake, Clemson, NC State got a chance to have 10 wins. I think it shows that too. We focus so much on the ACCing itself. BJ and Kevin, could potentially this be the ACC way forward? Like we used to be in Clemson, right? And everybody else. Could it be more well-rounded? And we just got to get used to Clemson scratching and clawing to actually get back to Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte instead of just saying, hey, man, we're going to chop it up and they're just going to run through the rest of the ACC.
Yeah, ACC needs a big bowl season. BC, I think a good way to start it off here against East Carolina. Louisville, another interesting team. BJ, you and I were kind of joking. You have the Armed Forces Bowl, you have the Military Bowl, you have the First Responders Bowl, and that's coming up with Louisville and Air Force. Louisville, another team that I think is trying to find some footing in that ACC Atlantic. And again, if they could finish with 7 wins, they would have a little bit of momentum heading into 2022.
And this is a fascinating bowl game because these two offenses can score. I mean, Malik Cunningham is one of the great college quarterbacks of the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years. He's been a great player. And Air Force leads the nation in rushing by a wide margin, by I think 30 or 40 yards per game at last check. So I think this might get up in kind of those basketball numbers, could be 51-44 or something like that. I think Cunningham's the difference at the end of the day. One of the best quarterbacks in the country, can do it throwing the ball, can do it running the ball. But I think you'll see a lot of highlights. Give me Louisville in a close, high-scoring game.
Yeah, Air Force will definitely try to be ball control, type football when you run the ball as much as they do, as well as they run the football. BJ, I do agree. Malik Cunningham is a guy that's very, very underlooked. When you think about when he's at his best, I don't know if there's anybody dual threat better than him. And that's taking nothing away from anybody in the country. I mean, he does his best. Lamar Jackson when called upon. He is not Lamar, but he does his best. Lamar Jackson impression. I do think Louisville gets a big win, even though Air Force is not going to make life easy for him.
I forgot we were supposed to be picking these games as well. I
just pick Boston College?
I did pick Boston College. Louisville, I don't remember. I kind of like brazen Boston College. Louisville, I think they got a great chance to get it done. And again, it could be just the dumb luck of who has the ball last.
Is this how you pick games all year? Oh, we're picking games.
Yeah, no, again, NC State at UCLA Holiday Bowl. I'll speed it up here so we can get caught up.
Yeah, fun game too. And NC State's had a really good year. I like NC State's balance, offensively, defensively. I think they win.
I like NC State as well. UCLA, they've been up and down all year. Give me them NC State boys to get to their 10th win of the season.
A chance for 10 wins here. I'm going to go with NC State.
No Dave Doran?
Dave Doran, I did. I talked to him. I wished him a Merry Christmas, and he responded with this. And I was so excited.
You conditioned me to now. I'm expecting it from you.
He was excited to. He was excited to play in the Holiday Bowl, the Fenway Bowl. I think this is where the ACC falls into the. It's the ACC. Virginia, new coach. Bronco Mendenhall is out. They're playing SMU. SMU would love to have a win over a P5 conference, and you're playing in an epic baseball stadium, but you're playing in a baseball stadium. I think this will be tough for Virginia to get that dub.
I still think the quarterback's the difference. The ACC has the best quarterbacks in the country collectively. Brennan Armstrong's going to put up a lot of numbers. You do mention the coaching change. I think they're going to want to send Coach Mendenhall out with a win. I will take Virginia.
I will go Virginia for something that Matt Smith said in the previous segment. You got a bunch of guys trying to make a good impression on their new coach who will be watching. I'll go with them UVA boys.
SMU's going to win. It's the ACC. So far, you guys have gone straight chalk ACC.
Hey, man,
that is very dangerous. Very dangerous for you guys to do. Virginia Tech, new coach coming in there, obviously, as well. They take on Maryland in the Pinstripe Bowl.
All right, I'll make you happy here. I'm going to go with Maryland, Coach Locks at Maryland. And when you look at Virginia Tech, their quarterback, Braxton Burmeister, just entered the transfer portal. So you're talking about some questions there. I will take Maryland, where you have Tua's younger brother.
Yes.
But give me the Terps in this one.
I will go with the Terps as well. I do think Tua's brother is going to be on display. I'm not going to go chalk. Kevin, with all ACC teams, give me Maryland with those, who loves to wear the state flag on their uniform. Give me the Terps.
And I like that pick both of y'all made. That's why I'm picking Virginia Tech.
Oh boy,
and going the other way again. I think impressions to be made. Virginia Tech was kind of an under heralded team. I think
first game of the year with North Carolina. I thought it was going to keep that momentum.
I mean, I don't know that their coach got fired.
Well, I know, but I think they were a better. You hear that, you think, oh, they must have been 4-8. They were an okay team that maybe underachieved a little bit. I think they'll be fired up to do something in the bowl game. The Cheez-It Bowl, I don't think you spelled Cheez-It right. Clemson and Ohio State. Well, I always say that because my
How do you spell Cheez-It?
I think it's CHEEZ -IT. My kids eat them by like the pound. I'm big those too. If you have kids eating cheese,
them hot and spicy, they do something to me.
I'm taking Clemson. Too much defense.
I want to take Clemson, DJ, but unfortunately, DJ, you has to play defense. I'm going to go with.
Whoa. Wait, did you just say Ohio State? They're not playing Ohio State.
I'm sorry, Iowa State. No, I'm still going to Iowa State because I'm gonna do the Kevin thing. I'm sorry, I'm just over here. Give me the Iowa State boys because I'm sorry.
I think it'll be 14-10. I think.
Iowa State. I'm going to go Clemson because I want to see the Dabo Swinney post game press conference, BJ, because it's everybody's fault but Dabo's.
That's true. Are both the coordinators going to coach the heralded Cheez-It Bowl?
Yeah.
I know they got other places.
You've promoted from within with your coordinators.
I'm talking about the ones who are leaving for head coaching jobs.
I would think Venables what Tony. I think they would get on out of there. I mean, they've done their. What can they do now?
Win the Cheez-It Bowl.
I mean, listen,
that is a resume builder.
Listen,
how many people have won the Cheez-It Bowl? Not many.
Fellas, I'm gonna give you guys one. No,
hey, Coach, I woke up feeling the cheesiest.
I mean, listen.
Yeah. And bowl game's so good. We got to keep moving. I'm sorry. Bowl game's so good. You can eat it on a sandwich. The Duke Mayo Bowl, North Carolina, South Carolina.
I'm going to take North Carolina. Hey, Sam Howell going to go? It looks like I'm going to take the Tar Heels.
You know what? Listen, South Carolina, every time, and maybe this goes back to the fact they beat the brakes off my Gators, beat them down. I'm going to go with them South Kakalaki boys to get that dub because BJ, love Sam Howell, but he will underwhelm every time I think he'll get it done. He'll throw a couple of picks at the other team.
It's North Carolina in the Mayo Bowl. Sun Bowl, Miami, and Washington State.
I don't know. Washington State.
Both are getting new coaches.
This just feels like one of those games where they throw it, 50 times. I'm going to take Washington State.
Of course you take Washington State. Those DBs going to say, dude, we got to run around a lot today. That's right. And that's going to be bombs. A lot of bombs. Give me them Washington State boys.
Yeah, I'm going to go to you. No real reason why. I feel like they'll win.
I like that explanation.
It's like, look, this is a game where both teams have interim. I mean, like they're going to have a guy that's not the new head coach. So whoever cares the most will end up winning. The Peach Bowl is Pitt and Michigan State.
I like Pitt.
Kenny Pickett.
Everybody's saying, look, you can't do it without Pickett. They're going to come out. They're going to play well defensively. They win this game.
Mel Tucker find a way to get it done with that slow down. Give me Mel Tucker and the Michigan State boys.
Are you saying he coaches football like Tom Izzo coaches better?
That slowed down. But listen, Mel Tucker say, listen, that money is good. So I don't care what y'all got to say. Great weather conditions. Let's get it.
Yeah, no Kenny Pickett. I'm going to go with Michigan State in that ballgame. That's a quick look at our ACC picks. We'll come back with more 3 and Out. Hey, we got a book to give away. Another uncommon and unfinished copy to give away when we return. 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We got a copy of Ben's book, Uncommon and Unfinished, to give away. We're doing it every week. And just in time for Christmas, we're going to give away another copy of the book, Uncommon Unfinished. Caller number 4 right now to 912-342-7184, 912-342-7184. You can call in, and the fourth caller will be the winner of a signed copy of Ben's book with BJ Bennett. On there, 912-342-7184, 912-342-7184. Again, a great read for yourself, or if you have someone who's a big Florida fan or just a fan of Ben's, makes a great gift right here in time for Christmas. 912-342-7184, 912-342-7184. Caller number 4, you will win that signed copy of Uncommon and Unfinished. We're talking college football. When we come back, we'll look at the SEC bowl games as well here on 3 and Out, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network, streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com, on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Welcome back to 3 and Out, final hour of the show here on this Wednesday. Kevin, BJ, and Ben, glad you're making us a part of your day. We'll get to some SEC bowl games coming up in just a little bit. But, guys, the CFP came out with more COVID protocols for the college football playoff, saying if you do not have enough players to play, you will forfeit, which potentially means, I think potentially, there's a 4-day window you can move the national championship back. My guess would be from Monday to Friday. If you don't have enough, somebody could win the national championship by forfeit because of COVID protocols. I don't know if anybody wants it to go that way, obviously, but that's a very real bar. Somebody could get to the national championship game via COVID protocols. How would we view that if it got to that point? COVID stuff aside, but if you got to the national championship because another team could not play due to positive tests, would you be like, okay, we earned our way there? Or how do you think that would be viewed by the public in mass if you either got there and or won a national championship kind of by forfeiture?
Well, nobody wants that. I mean, you mentioned it. That would be bad all the way around, first and foremost with a team having an outbreak of the virus, but nobody wants that. Just from a standpoint of, Kevin, like you said, I mean, how do you process what that would mean competitively? I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what you would say. It would be really, really unfortunate. And it would be just another example of the sports world, having to try to adjust on the fly to this. I mean, the NCAA tournament canceled and countless other games, but that would be really unfortunate if, and again, primarily, of course, first and foremost with the health and safety. But if you're talking about a semifinal game resulting in a forfeit and somebody advancing to the national championship, I mean, one of you guys asked Matt Smith, would you turn that down? I mean, nobody wants that. And I think in a perfect world, you would hope that there could be some sort of a makeup, right? And it is very, very difficult to take something that has been in the plans for a year and suddenly reschedule it in 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, whatever. I mean, the logistics of that, the organizational infrastructure of that is massive, is overwhelming, but that would be really unfortunate. And I don't know what you would say. I mean, if you're a coach and your team kind of advances via this forfeit, and we hope that doesn't happen, what do you even say in the press conference? I mean, first and foremost, hope everybody's healthy, hope everybody's good, but that would be terrible. That would be really bad. And I don't know what you would say. I mean, you would not want a national title that way. I agree 100%. And it sounds, I mean, do you come out and say we are not accepting this national championship? Or
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to be crowned champion that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think you come out and say, out of concern and respect for the situation, we're gonna turn down this. We're not gonna view this as a national championship season. We're going to view it as something that is a historical outlier that has been tragic and unfortunate and terrible. But yes, nobody wants that.
And sometimes you just gotta, sometimes as a competitor, it's just not meant to be. Like, I hope that this does not happen. But it doesn't matter if you've ever played a sport, if you are the fan of a sport, if you are new to the sport. You cannot be a champion if you did not play. Like, who did you play? Oh, it was because of COVID. Because you always want to know how I stacked up against the best, how I stacked up against that team. We do shoulda, coulda, wouldas all the time with past champions. Oh, the 2019, LSU team versus the 2001 Miami. Well, we saw both of those teams play. But and Kevin, it goes back to me and you, we watching the ACC championship back in 2020 when they shut it down. This just shows you how big college football is. Now, I think this is also something else. They are preparing for the worst. Like, if it happened, let me put a disclaimer out way before this game starts. That way, if we got to make a decision, we'll do this. Because could you imagine, Kevin and BJ, if these rules came out a week before the game? No, you want to put this way. You want to put this out. It's almost like if you buy something and you're looking for one thing, the return policy. If it says no refunds, it's going to be a little different if I want to buy this one. Now, we'll exchange it, but we ain't giving your money back. I think when you talk about a situation like this, Kevin and BJ, you got to, while they should err on the side of caution, it just, let's face it, college football is huge. Definitely these last 4 teams standing. You think we're talking about the Georgias of the world. Think about Cincinnati, a team that really had to do the unthinkable, and they did it. Now, I hope that it doesn't happen, but sometimes I was watching a show called Last Chance U, and there was these kids out there in LA, and they was trying to finally make it. This is during COVID. They went undefeated during the season, and they finally made it to the playoffs. They won the first round, and they on the bus, and they listened around the country as all the things, ACC, SEC, and they were one of the last ones, and they got shut down. And the guys like, that's it. It's devastating, but I'd rather it be like this. And I'm not in the college football playoff, but if I'm Kirby, if I'm Harbaugh, if I'm Nick Saban, if I'm Cincinnati, I'm saying, look, we don't want to play this thing if everybody can't play in it. I know that's easy for me to say over here, but it's just a competitor in me, and it's unfortunate. It really, really is. But if I finally prepared myself to play, they say, hey man, you guys gonna win through the fourth. Man, what? Like they couldn't control that over there. Even if you're fully vaccinated, and I'm just saying, even if you're doing all the right things, doesn't mean you're not gonna, contact, you're not gonna get COVID. So I just think that number one, at least NCAA is trying to make it look like they're trying to do the right thing, which they are. But Kevin and BJ, I'm like, yo, I would have to see that, because if I'm a backup and all the starters got COVID, they can't play. That's even more pressure on them. That's what people not realizing too. I haven't played all year. I've been cheering, loving it all year. They called my number for the national championship, for the college football playoff. What? Because I'm going to tell y'all this too. I don't want to be the reason why this thing kind of falls off the rails too. So it's a lot of pressure on a lot of people. But I will say this. I would, if it's the rematch and Alabama can't play in it, or Georgia can't play in it, if either Saban or Kirby decide I'm not going to take it, I will respect that at the highest level, because, hey, man, I'm not going to take it from them if they didn't have a chance to play. And we can say, oh, Alabama going to beat Georgia. Well, you never know until they go out there again. But, yeah, I respect, college football doing this. But, boy, like Kevin, it's going to be the Nick Saban treatment. They're going to be giving tests every day to make sure those young men get an opportunity to go out there and play.
To me, there's just no way that this thing doesn't go off on some level. I just think they're going to play. And again, if I'm the college football playoff, it's the national championship. You make every effort to play this thing, right? I mean, in my opinion, if you got to back it up a week, if you got to back it up 2 weeks. Now, I know you're getting into NFL playoffs. There's TV slots that, as you're in partnerships or leagues, you don't want to say, well, hey, we're going to steal one of your windows to put our national championship game on. I get it. But at the end of the day, this is your biggest game. You make every effort to play it. And again, if you postpone, I think you just look at the numbers as well and say, look, on average, how long does an outbreak on a team last if they do get one? I mean, are all 4 of them going to be sick for 4 weeks? I don't know if that is necessarily the case. So I think there's a window where you could still get it done. And I'm glad at least they're thinking of moving it back 4 days potentially. But to me, just because of what it is for the sport, you hate to trivialize it and say the money that's out there, but well, I mean, let's be real. 4 schools are getting 4 big payouts, college football playoff getting payout, TV partners, sponsors, all that stuff that goes into it. It's not just something you casually say, no, we're not doing it. Like that's not something that most people walk away from and say, we're not doing it. There's too many obligations out there to try to make it happen. So I think it's going to happen, but it is interesting to see they put those protocols out there. I just think, to me, it would be try your best to get all of it in. I don't like the forfeiting into a championship. I don't like the forfeiting into
I don't think
a national championship. I don't necessarily like that if that's the way. But that's the way it's written.
Yeah.
In college football playoff, to me, if I'm Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Luke Fickell, whoever, if I'm in an office somewhere in my suit and somebody from the college football playoff comes and says, "Hey, here you go, coach. Here's our photo op," I'll be like, "I know. Yeah. I am not taking my photo with that thing." If that's the way it went down.
Dabo Swinney, Jimbo Fisher, these coaches need to utilize every level of influence they have to make sure these games get played. Not at the sake of these players, but you work too hard. I don't think people understand. No. People do understand. Let me stop. So you don't know. No. If it's something outside of my control, it is your job to help to make it so that I get a chance to do it. A couple of more days shouldn't be that big of a thing. I get it. You know, you want to keep the schedule and all this, but I'm just saying we living in different times. So I put it like this: they ain't canceling the Super Bowl. They're not canceling.
Nope.
Like, you see, they're gonna find a way to make sure they play it. Now, the Super Bowl is the biggest probably sporting event in America. I get it. Super Bowl, one game. College football national championship got to be number 2. It's got to be there. If it ain't competing for number 1, depending on who the teams are. So if, let's face it, amateurism isn't real. Let's just stop doing it. Come on, man, stop it. We need to leave that alone. Stop treating these young people as amateurs. Give them the best shot because, listen, I am a fan of college football players first. I'm a fan of college football second and the Gators third. That's how it goes. These players deserve the opportunity to play. I put it like this. Tom Brady went up to a ref and told him, I don't like the fact that my receiver's getting hit low. If a rule comes out that you can't hit receivers low, that is influence. Nick, Dabo, Jimbo, Brian Kelly, Mel Tucker, all you guys need to go to the and listen, man, we got to do something because this has more to do with, games 2022, 2023. You are setting the goal. You are setting the precedent for what's going to happen. Do right by these young people because that is hard to live with, man. Something I couldn't control. I couldn't play.
And if you're in a situation where I believe, I don't have it in front of me, but the written bylaws that you can push the championship back, 4 days if you need to, push it back 5, 6, 7.
Well, I mean, the only reason I say they said 4 is because I believe on that Saturday is the first round of the NFL playoffs.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
And I was going to say that too, but think about this. Right now, there was games in the NFL. There was games on Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, because of COVID, right? They had to adjust the game. People are like, so I think that at the end of the day, if the breeding ground for the NFL is college, show these young men who probably gonna play their last bit of football now that you're gonna do all they can. We can't listen. The rules and bylaws of the NCAA, man, that stuff got to be written in pencil. That stuff switch up.
Well, this is not. I want to clarify. This is not the NCAA.
Okay.
Because they don't run the playoff.
Got you.
All right. So and a lot of people get confused with that because the NCAA playoff takes place in January and it's going to be between 2 FCS schools playing that.
Yes, technically that is the NCAA. That is the
NCAA
national championship.
That's the national championship. This is run by the College Football Playoff Committee, which has nothing to do with the NCAA, other than the fact that they select teams from the NCAA to play in their playoffs. So it is their rules, not necessarily the NCAA's rules, but it is still I point taken. I just wanted to clarify that for people listening to say it's not the NCAA's rules. It is the College Football Playoff Committee's rule or the College Football Playoffs rules. Go ahead, Ben. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I just wanted to clarify that.
All I'm saying is, right, the people of influence, these coaches, these chancellors, these athletic directors, do the right thing. Like this is when y'all this is when college athletics should come together and say, we're not going to allow this to happen. If we got to extend it 1 more day, 2 more days, and this is another thing Kevin said to bring up a point. I don't want to play no college football playoff on the first weekend of the NFL playoffs because now we comparing numbers, we comparing viewers. Because people think NFL rules, do it. Because if they were like, hey man, they had more viewership. I know it always comes down to the bottom line, Kevin BJ, when it comes to the money. But these young people, man, they work too hard to get to this point. Add a couple of more days, man. It's not the end of the world. If you can take what they do for your school, you can give them a couple more days so they can go out there and try to go out there and play in the game that they've earned.
All right, we've got more to come here on 3 and Out. We'll get to the SEC Bowl games. You got one tonight, Missouri and Army in the Armed Forces Bowl. You got one tomorrow, Florida and UCF in the Gasparilla Bowl. So a couple SEC games coming up, and then post-Christmas, a whole slate of SEC games. We'll pick some of those when we come back in about 20 minutes. We'll hear from Logan Wright, though, when we return, former Georgia Southern running back who recently announced he's headed to the NFL draft. This is 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. A lot to get to here. SEC bowl season starts tonight. Missouri and Army. We'll have that for you at 8 o'clock this evening. So a chance for you to get the Armed Forces Bowl, Mizzou and Army. So that one coming up a little bit later as we get into some SEC bowl picks. Obviously, the news earlier today that Texas A&M was not going to participate in the Gator Bowl due to COVID protocols within their program. And there looks like there could be a opponent for Wake Forest stepping up to play, but we shan't talk about it, just to be clear.
Are you proud of that?
I mean, I am. I like that. I like how Kevin did it real smooth. And for those of you who don't know, I'm not going to tell you what Kevin means by that. You got to.
Well, I mean,
there's a lot of lobbying going on. From on the internet.
Let me go ahead
look at us. We'll play.
And let me go ahead and say this to those people that's thinking that Florida's going to play in the Gator Bowl because it's 90 minutes. It was 90. Listen,
Florida's in a bowl game.
No.
Like tomorrow.
Just listen, because we follow different Twitter feeds. I'm just saying. People saying, hey, man, it's like a regular week. 0% chance. You're going to play tomorrow. Get it out your system. Go to the house. Just get it out of the way. But the team that Kevin was, referencing, I would love to see that. Especially since somebody, some of us bleed things and other people, they do other things.
Do you know what he's referencing?
Yes, I do. I do.
Kevin knows what I'm referencing.
Again, it's not official.
I'm trying to keep it PG, But no, it's not official, BJ. But
it's not official, but
every time.
But the Jaguars might not be the only thing, Teal.
And for somebody who don't like social media, every time somebody goes, you showing us.
Look, during the show, I'm saying we don't know anything.
I don't know anything, and nothing has been fully announced.
I just will say this: when Dan Lanning got hired as the new coach, there was somebody on this show that reported it. Then we had a bunch of reports that came out and said it wasn't true.
I read it.
No. What I'm saying
I didn't report it.
Well, we brought it up, and then right after it was that's not true. And the next day, what happened? Sometimes I think if the source is one of the players, yes. I think you can kind of lean that way because I'm pretty sure they tell him what he can and can't.
I mean, you really would have to be a majestic chicken not to think that they're not going to find a replacement for Texas A&M in the bowl game.
I mean, exactly. I'm just saying there are roosters and there are super roosters.
Oh, we know.
All I'm saying
it's really just going from one coast to the other, so one beach to the next beach. If they were to allegedly find a replacement,
I was going to say, and what happens when they play Illinois?
Well, Shad Khan apparently trying to wheel and deal that. That's one of the rumors out there.
I mean, Shad Khan, he just can't stay out of the news. I mean, what? Getting rid of one coach, trying to lobby for us. I'm just saying.
Are we picking the SEC bowl games here?
I mean, we can, but I'm just saying.
We were talking about a bowl game that involved an SEC team. And we talked about a possible replacement, and BJ said we shan't talk about it, just so we're clear. So I'm just saying.
I mean, some of us in here like the color teal.
I'm a Jaguars fan.
I know.
I try to be.
Well, you're a Jaguars fan when they got Blake Bortles and they come up and play short in the AFC Championship game. Then after that is, what are we doing?
They're going to have the number 1 overall pick again. I
mean, listen. Y'all trying to do y'all best Browns impersonation. They trying to go, back to back. Do y'all get another quarterback?
What?
I'm just saying. Anyway, I just hope
you're giving up on Trevor now.
I don't got to give up on Trevor because I have Ryan.
Yeah,
that's not saying much.
Look, all I'm saying is that to say the Gator Bowl is finished because Texas A&M it's not a black or white. It's kind of a Grayson kind of place for folks.
I didn't like that one. The other one,
I'm just saying
the shot. Be clear. That was smooth. That was smooth. I'm saying.
We shan't talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. Till next time.
Armed Forces Bowl, BJ Pickett, Army, Mizzou, because that's where you want to go.
I'm saying we don't know anything.
Have I said who they're playing?
Hold on. If the team that you were talking about or showing us during the break is
people are tweeting.
Would you like that matchup?
That could be a fun matchup.
I mean, there's a guy that he has a very, very noticeable look when you talk about the hairstyle. And like I said, some of us bleed it and others, well.
And why win one bowl game when you could win 2?
Come on.
You could make double history in 1 year.
You could.
And how would that look at, some of us wear belts.
This team would love the opportunity, especially being where they're from, right? They're in the same potential area.
Come on.
We'll have to see. But it looks like a lot of reports they're going to find a way to find an opponent
in the Gator Bowl.
Yeah, for Wake Forest.
All right, Armed Forces Bowl, BJ, pick it because you're just jumping out of your skin over here.
I'm looking forward to that game tonight. Army and Missouri, SEC bowls. I mean, not every SEC team's used to being in bowl game all the time.
Eli Drinkwitz. I mean, I'm just saying, Mr. Force be with you, showing a little life.
Tyler Batty, one of the best running backs in the country, opted out of this game. Missouri's running back. Fully support and understand those moves, by the way. I think Army wins this game tonight. I think they're going to want to bounce back after probably not their best performance against Navy and Missouri not having their best player. I think maybe a low-scoring game. I think Missouri's pretty good along the defensive front, but I think Army controls the tempo, wins the game.
I think Army's going to have that. I always want to be able to show that the SEC, people want to see how they square up against SEC teams, no matter who that SEC team is. But I do go with Army, a big bounce back performance. What you said, what didn't happen against Navy.
Yeah, no love for Mizzou here. No, I'm going Army in this bowl game as well.
Wait, you're going to say no love for Mizzou and then pick Army?
I did my statement.
There's still like no love criticizing Ben and I.
I said there's no love for Mizzou, and I didn't give him any either. So, I mean, my statement's still true. No love for Mizzou. The Gasparilla Bowl, Central Florida, and the team that's too scared to play them.
Go ahead. You take this first. As people wait, just knowing.
Listen,
where are you leaning?
As much as I want to go with my Gators in this game, I mean, I do respect what UCF is doing. I'm going with Florida. Yeah. I'm not going to do this with UCF. I'm not going to do. I respect UCF.
Okay, let me ask you this: if they beat y'all, you come out and go, dude, it's the Gasparilla Bowl.
Check this out. Listen. Over the weekend, I was at my child's soccer game, and because of her location in the state of Florida, I had a bunch of UCF fans saying, hey, they trying to avoid it. And I was sitting like, hey, man, how you feel about you guys' chances? I said, I like our chances. And they told me, and I quote, maybe it's a battle of the, the flagship schools in the state. I said, what? Listen, I go, what? It's a flagship school. I said, just because you got university in your school's name,
they do have a more recent national championship.
But then I told him, I said, one team's a part of the Big Three. He goes, and then the guy said, yeah. He said, maybe one day you guys. I said, sir, I said, listen, if you guys win, boom, cool.
So just to recap, you were talking trash at a child's soccer game.
No. I was watching my child's soccer game, and then once again, they came to my doorstep. Would they look with their shirts on, puffing their chests out, talking about, man, how you feel about the game? I said, do I look nervous? They said, well, then they said, you guys got Emory.
So you're not nervous, so you're going to watch it.
No, but this guy said this. They said this quote, but you guys got Emory. Now, I took offense to that, which we do in one more game, but I will go with, hopefully, Florida in this game, for a lot
of uncertainty around the Gators. Man, with all due respect, I think UCF is viewing this as kind of a potential statement game. I think UCF wins.
I'm going to go Florida just because I think a lot of folks, as Ben said also earlier, in shows leading up to this, you got a lot of folks who want to impress the new guy as well, coming in trying to reset that standard at Florida. I'm going to go with Florida, Gasparilla Bowl, Auburn, and Houston in the Birmingham Bowl.
Yeah, and Houston's had a really good year. Auburn, it's been a drama-filled season, and now, of course, Bo Nix going to Oregon. I think Houston probably again feels like this is more of a meaningful game for them. I will take the Cougars.
I will take the Cougars as well. I think the way they throw the football is going to be a lot for that Auburn secondary. I do think Derek Mason has done a good job this year with the Auburn defense, but just too much offense. Give me Houston.
Yeah, I feel like this is we really don't want to be here bowl, and not. Well, I'm saying from Auburn's standpoint, Mike Bobo fired. Your quarterback just went to Oregon. Tanks Bigsby was into transfer protocols. Then he stepped back out of the transfer protocols. So, and you're in Birmingham. You're coming from Auburn. Like, we could get on our bicycles and ride to Birmingham from Auburn. A little facetious there, but
we are saving as much money as possible.
It's not a tremendous bowl trip for
like
Auburn.
Birmingham.
And I feel like
this
is classic bowl letdown. We could care less about being here for Auburn, and I'm going to go with Houston in that ball game. Doesn't mean it's right. That's how it's going to be. Mississippi State, Texas Tech in the Liberty Bowl. All kinds of intrigue. Mike Leach against his former team.
Yeah, and I think as Matt Smith said earlier, he's going to want to put some points up. It has not been a great season for Texas Tech. Mississippi State doing that out of the SEC West, I mean, that's That's pretty impressive. There were a lot of people back in the preseason who looked at them and said they're going to go 3-9. I mean, just given the schedule, I'll take State to win and win big.
Yeah, I'll take Mississippi State in a big win as well. I think Mike Leach. I mean, obviously he's great for the sound bites, but I do think he's gonna have his team, ready to go out there and get it done. Because another chance to go out there and another game under that with that air raid against a team that he used to do it with. Yeah, give me them State boys.
Yeah, moving quickly, you've got Tennessee and Purdue in the Music City Bowl.
I think Tennessee's got a little momentum, got a little something. I think they believe in Coach Heupel. I think they win this game.
Yeah, Tennessee get to go right down there, to the Nashville. Yeah, giving them balls who coming in 7-5. What do you think about that?
Is that Nashville time or Knoxville time?
That would be Nashville time. and listen, and because of the drive, I think it is 2.5, maybe 3 hours. They might let them get on the plane.
I learn about time zones every day. Christian was telling me it's crazy.
Yeah, to mess me up.
Tennessee, I think, has an opportunity to, as you said, see some momentum into the offseason. I think they beat Purdue, who kind of made their statement against Ohio State earlier in the season. Outback Bowl, Arkansas, and Penn State.
Yeah, and Treylon Burks not going to play in this one, the superstar wide receiver. Low-scoring game. I think we all probably agree there. Could go either way. End of the day, I think Arkansas's defense is probably at least close to being on par with Penn State's, and I think maybe a few more big plays here or there, even without Burks for Arkansas. Close, low-scoring game. I'll take the Hogs.
I'll go with Penn State. I think Penn State obviously underwhelmed this year, but able to go and say, hey, we beat two teams from the SEC West, one in the bowl game, one in the regular season against Auburn. Give me them Penn State boys.
I'm going to go Arkansas to win that one. Close ball game, I'll say 17-14. Kentucky and Iowa, interesting ball game there in the Citrus Bowl.
Kentucky's a good team. Balanced team, NFL guys all over the roster. Still have Chris Rodriguez, Darian Kennard, Jaquez Jones. I mean, I think Kentucky wins this game. I know Iowa was in the Big Ten title game, but I'm going to take Kentucky.
Iowa's going to make it they're going to make it a defensive slugfest. But BJ, I think because you got more battles on that Kentucky team, Coach Stoops don't get enough credit. Give me them Wildcats.
Yeah, I think Kentucky. It's always a wild game with Kentucky. You never know what to expect. But give me Coach Stoops beating Iowa. Close ball game. Iowa's going to play great defense. Ole Miss and Baylor, boy, this one could be 60-58.
Yeah, and I mean, don't overlook Baylor's defense either, though. I mean, what they did against Oklahoma State. I think to go back to that word balance, you look at Ole Miss. They have Matt Corral. They also have a top 5 rushing offense nationally. They've been better defensively. I think they're a more well-rounded team. Fun bowl game. I agree. I think it's really compelling, but I will take Ole Miss.
This is the battle of the uniforms of John Deere's versus these Ole Miss. I think coming with the all-white helmet.
White helmet,
yeah. Blues, nice. Listen, Matt Corral knows, but give me Ole Miss. I think Lane Kiffin was the guy who obviously getting contract extensions. It's one of the best offenses. Give me Ole Miss.
White helmet for the first time ever.
Nice.
There at Ole Miss, and this is the Sugar Bowl, so a big-time bowl game. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go Baylor.
Whoa.
Just a little bit more defense at the end of the day. Texas Bowl, LSU and Kansas State. This is actually the last bowl game before the national championship is the Texas Bowl, LSU and Kansas State.
And I don't know kind of what the intensity level will be. Well, I'm just being honest. No, you're talking about Auburn and are they gonna? I mean, I'm just being honest, man. What aren't both teams 6-6? I mean,
you saying so? This is the don't want to be here bowl.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
this is the
maybe
what is this bowl.
Look, end of the day, I think LSU's more talented, but kind of like you were saying about some of the other bowl games, we'll see who wants it more. But I'll go with LSU.
I'll go LSU. This is going to be the lackluster bowl. Let's get it. I mean, the fact that they got to play this close to the college football playoff for a game that really don't mean that much. LSU is going to be playing for pride. I think that sideline going to be star-studded because, well, I mean, you got to show some love. I mean, Odell Beckham, stay away from the sidelines. But yes, give me the LSU boys. Brian Kelly, stay away from the dancing, stay away from getting film doing it, and work on that accent.
The Texas Bowl. All right, the playoffs: Cotton Bowl and Orange Bowl, Alabama, Cincinnati, Georgia, Michigan. Who's playing for the national championship?
I think one of these games has the potential to be really close, and I think it's Alabama-Cincinnati. I think that's the game where Alabama's dealing with some injuries. Obviously, John Mechie, Josh Jobs, some others. I think Cincinnati's viewing this as the all-time, kind of catalyst game for change in college football. They're a good roster, good team, good coach. I think Alabama wins. I think it's a closer game than people think. I think at the end of the day, maybe wins by 10, but a one-score game for much of the fourth quarter. And I think Georgia wins comfortably over Michigan. I think Georgia is a team that if you're going to beat them, you better have an elite passing game. Michigan is elite at running the football. I don't know how much that helps you. I think Georgia wins by 14, 17 points.
This is going to be a battle of matchups. I think when you talk about what Alabama's going to have to see, they're going to have to see two premier cornerbacks. I mean, one being the Thorpe Award winner and Kobe Bryant, with the other side being Sauce Gardner. These guys, they don't give up hardly anything. I still think Alabama gets the win, but that's going to be the matchup of the day. BJ, I mean, I do think Georgia's going to beat Michigan, but I think they're coming in because they beat the team to get over the hump, to finally get to this point. Georgia hasn't done that yet. You got two premier pass rushers. I mean, so I think that, yes, Michigan is built to run the football. I don't know if you're going to be able to do it against Georgia. They're going to have to find a way to make some plays in the air and take some chances. I still got Georgia and Alabama, but two compelling matchups.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to pick the rematch, so I won't do it just to be different. I'm going to say Alabama and Michigan.
Hello, good afternoon.
I mean, the battle of the brand.
At the end of the show, he drops that and
again,
goes to break.
Again, it could be very close scoring, which I think favors Michigan, because that means they just need to make a play or two offensively. Both teams have very good defenses. I think it could be low scoring. I think Michigan pulls off the upset. Give me Alabama and Michigan.
We'll
come back 3 and out. Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It's great to be here on this Wednesday. Kevin, BJ, and Ben. Army and Mizzou coming up later tonight in bowl action. BJ and Ben will have 3 and Out for you tomorrow. I will be off. Merry Christmas. Enjoy it, fellas. Hope Santa is good to you.
Merry Christmas.
No, MGO, thanks.
No. Merry Christmas to Kevin. Merry Christmas to BJ. Merry Christmas to the listeners. Merry Christmas to everybody who, keep us going, man. You guys are, I'm super duper humbled to have you guys come on and listen to us every day. And to those who see BJ out in public, he is as weird in public as he is right in front of
I
you.
appreciate that. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you guys, you and your families. And I echo those sentiments. Appreciate the, you guys, listeners, being here with us every afternoon. It's something we don't take for granted, and hope to have more fun with you moving forward.
Absolutely. So I will look forward to talking to you in 2022, but BJ and Ben will be here tomorrow. I'll
be in the bar.
I look forward to talking to y'all in 2022.
Enjoy it. This is 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network.